right. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to tonight's segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am your host, Shaniqua Inspires, and I am pulling together all of the amazing and power-filled women and a few good men that I know. And we are coming together and we are going to deliver this encouragement for us all. Because I think today's society, we all can use a little bit of encouragement. So today I have a beautiful woman of God coming to the stage, and she's actually one of my new sister friends. Like, I just met her, but she's now my new sister friend. So I want to go ahead and bring her to the stage. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, Shaniqua. So good to see you. How are you?
I am blessed. I am so honored that you took a moment in time out of your day to come and to share a word, to meet me and to meet all of my viewers. So, Ronalda, please introduce yourself to the people. Let us know what's going on with you.
Thank you. First of all, Shaniqua, again, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me here to share a little about who I am and the mission that I'm on. My name is Ronalda Sullivan. I am founder and CEO of Dream Differently. I am a mom. I am a sister. I am a coach, international speaker, and author. And I am just your average friend and your sister who you can come to and talk to. I absolutely love being in this season of the things that I'm doing and learning, and so happy to share all about what it means to dream differently.
I love it. I love it. It is so great to connect with you. I can feel your energy even through a virtual space. But before we get started, because we are going to talk about dreaming differently, I need you to introduce us to those beautiful queens who are holding you up behind you. Tell us a bit about those pictures.
Literally holding me up. And what I want to make sure that I tell you is this one is 102. She is my grandmother. The legacy and the matriarch of my family, still alive, still thriving. I think I have a couple of videos of her dancing with me. She is an amazing, amazing, amazing woman. And this one is my mother. She is 83.
Awesome.
She takes care of my grandmother. And my mom is sitting in my grandmother's home on that picture. As a matter of fact, I just came back from visiting the both of them. And when I tell you those women have a legacy that I can be so proud of. And you are absolutely right. I stand on their backs, on their shoulders, all the things, and everything that I do is keeping them in mind so that their legacy of strength, resilience, and determination continues.
Wow, what an amazing blessing. What an amazing blessing to still be able to have your mother and your grandmother, and they are thriving and kicking and doing all of those amazing things, because a legacy is what we should all be focused on. That's the hashtag goals. It is about the legacy. And what people always think about when you hear the word legacy, you think after you're gone. But a legacy is not necessarily just when after you're gone, like what carries on, but it's about how you live. It's about how you live your life. And as you're living your life, it then creates the legacy for when you're no longer here. But it's a beautiful thing to see the living, the breathing legacy in action. And the same is true to what it is that you're doing these days and helping people to dream differently. So let's go ahead and get into that. What is it that you mean? What are you referencing when you say dream differently?
Well, when I say dream differently, I ask people this question whenever I want to share what it really means to dream differently. I ask people to just take a moment, close their eyes, and reflect on their lives. And when you close your eyes and you reflect on your life and the dreams that you've had for yourself in your life, how many of us can actually say that our lives look like we want them to? When if we're being real, if we're being truthful and honest, our lives look absolutely nothing like we thought they would.
Yeah.
And when I reflect back on my life and the things that I've experienced, my life, just like everybody else's, it looks absolutely nothing like I thought that it would. From unexpected diagnoses to divorce after 22 years, to financial challenges after a divorce, to, you know, the challenges that we experience on our jobs every day. I mean, all of the things, relationship challenges, health challenges, all of the life disruptions that we all experience. But the bottom line for me is, my goal is to encourage everyone, but primarily women that look like me, that it's not the end just because the dream doesn't look like you thought that it would.
Yes.
The key is in the surrender, because most of the time what we're thinking about is our dream. And it's not about our dream. What is it really about? It's God's dream for our lives.
Yes.
And when we can truly embrace and surrender to God's dream for our life, it can be better than anything that we could have imagined. And that's exactly where I am right now, is I am walking out Dream Differently, because my life is truly better than I could have asked or imagined.
Wow. Wow. Now, I loved all that you said. And one of the things that comes to my mind is that I believe that sometimes we don't even visualize where it is that we want our lives to be, or how we want our lives to be. I think sometimes we don't even put the vision to it. Sure, we can talk it. We can say, I want a bigger house. I want a better job. I want to be able to travel. We can describe it, but to actually put the physical vision to it, I think is something that many of us don't do. So what advice would you have for someone to getting started with this actual visualization of their dream?
I think what we really have to consider is, whenever we're dreaming, I have an acronym for the word dream.
Okay.
And the acronym for the word dream is 5 words. It's D for determine, R for resilient, E for educate, A for advocate, and M for motivate. And the way that I talk to people about how it is that they need to navigate their dreams, what it's going to take, based on what I've experienced, is it takes the determination. Once you decide what it is that dream is that you want to achieve or accomplish, it takes the determination. And you have to be determined that no matter whatever that dream is that you've decided is the most important thing for you to accomplish, nothing is going to stop you.
Yes.
And that's going to also require you to be resilient, because there are going to be some times when it's going to be hard to bounce back.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's going to be hard to navigate those setbacks. But that's where the determination comes in, and that's where the resilience comes in. But the E is for educate. And I know most people think, oh, education, I don't want another degree. Right. I don't need another certification. Educate, what I got, how much more do I need? No, when I say educate, it's educate you about you. Ooh. You can't even begin to dream if you don't know yourself. You can't even begin. Absolutely. You can't even begin to know what type of dream to have if you don't know you, if you don't know what makes you happy, if you don't know what makes you sad, what gives you joy, you have no idea. Yeah. And then the A is for advocate. Advocate for you. Advocate for that dream. Advocate for you being your best self, because we only get one life. And advocate for that best life that you want. And then M, what is it that motivates you? Is it your children? Is it family legacy? What is it that motivates you to keep moving? Because that will determine if the dream that you've created for yourself is ever achieved.
Mm.
And so it's important to remember that we need to dream, but it's also going to take determination. It's going to take resilience. It's going to take you educating you about yourself.
Mm.
It's going to take you advocating, because you may be the only advocate you have.
Talk
And
about it.
then it's going to take you staying motivated whenever it's tough. Because if you don't stay motivated, there is absolutely no chance of that dream becoming a reality.
Yeah. I love it. That was, look, we can stop right there. We can drop mic and keep moving. But that was good right there. And I think what really just stood out to me the most was that educate. Mm-hmm. My God, it is about knowing who you are.
Absolutely.
Now that does lead me to my next question. And my next question to you is, does the dream get revised?
Oh,
so many of us, we have dreams when we were little kids, right? When I was a little girl, I dreamed that this tall, dark, and handsome man was gonna come and rescue me. You know how we imagine things. We have these like fairy tale like concepts, and
absolutely.
This is how we dreamt as a child. But tell me, are we revising the dream? Can the dream be revised? What do we do when we've gotten to a place where we're like, oh, we want to change that up? I don't need tall, dark, and handsome to come and save me. I can save myself. So how do we remix it? What do we do with these dreams?
Absolutely, it gets revised. But what I tell people all the time is, and I have a journal. It's called Reimagine, and that's what I tell people. The dream gets revised, but you also have to reimagine. You have to reimagine your reality so that you can have the dream, so that you can make the dream a reality. And when I say reimagine, I'll just give you an example from my own life.
Sure.
I had the beautiful wedding. I had the Prince Charming. I had 22 years of marriage, and I married someone that I thought was going to be forever. 3 beautiful children, 2 daughters and a son. And what happens when your reality isn't the dream anymore? The reality of my life was I had to make a decision. And when I tell people to advocate and educate, once I educated myself about myself, I realized I could no longer settle for anything less than what I deserved. And there was a decision that had to be made. 22 years later, am I going to walk away, or am I going to stay stuck? Am I going to do what everybody says you should do, or are you going to do what's best for you? Are you going to make a decision based on your own joy, or are you going to choose joy for someone else? And what I decided was I was going to reimagine my reality. Now, sis, what I'm not going to tell anybody is that it was easy, because it wasn't. It's hard when you thought that your forever is no longer your forever. It's hard when you realize that what I dreamed about and the fairy tale isn't the fairy tale. And how am I going to still be okay? But then in the end, educating myself about myself, realizing that I couldn't settle, reimagining my reality, and saying to myself, you know what, sis? No matter what, choose you. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So what I tell people all the time, yes, the dream gets revised, but please keep in mind and be encouraged. Reimagine the reality of that dream. Because when you reimagine the reality, it can be better than you could have asked or imagined. Yes. And before I move on, I want to tell people, and I want to tell you that that I have a definition for dream differently. And the definition of dream differently is this: it is a total change to a plan or a vision that results in outcomes better than you could have asked or imagined. And when I tell you better than you could have asked or imagined, it can be just that. But the only way that you can do that, the key, is to reimagine. Because sometimes the reality of our lives is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to reimagine what happens past this diagnosis, what happens past this relationship that I thought was going to last forever. Wow. What happens when someone is diagnosed with something and nobody expected that? You know, no, we don't imagine what our life could be on the other side of it because we're stuck when we're in it. And I tell people all the time, reimagine that reality. What if it's better? What if this can be better than you could have thought? And that's the key. Reimagine so that you can dream differently.
I love that. And that was so comforting. I thank you for that. Look, I don't know if y'all picked that up, but I picked it up. I'm going to put it down so that y'all can pick it up again. But that was so comforting to me, because a lot of times the reason why we're not able to fully visualize ourselves in this better place is because we let our circumstances dictate that.
Absolutely.
How can I have a house, you know, this big fancy mansion, if my bank account is saying I got $2.15 in there?
Sis.
You hear me?
Sis. And in my case, how is it going to be okay whenever I have to make a decision on whether or not I can carry these 3 teenagers, one with a disability and 2 other daughters? How am I going to navigate a different life now? Because I've been married to this man for 22 years, with him for 28. And how am I going to figure out my life past this? And is my bank account going to be able to carry us? Are we going to be able to be okay? Some of the hurtful things and the painful things that happen when you're trying to navigate the ending of a relationship. You know, I can recall sitting in my bedroom window and watching as the truck pulled up to repossess my car. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to tell my children when they come home from school? Are they going to see this truck driving away with the car on the back? What am I going to say to them? And how am I going to reassure them that things are going to be okay when I'm sitting here wondering to myself, girl, is it going to be okay, really? And then I had to stop and go, you know what? You weren't taking care of yourself from the very beginning. The same God that was taking care of you in that marriage is going to be the same God that's taking care of you in this space. So it's going to be okay.
Wow. Yes, 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 yes. I love all of it. I'm here for it. That is beautiful encouragement. And what I'm gathering from this conversation and what I keep hearing in my spirit over and over again is that it's okay to start again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's okay to have a different dream. It's okay to have a different dream, and it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to not know. It's okay to question. It's okay to be fearful. But in the end, we serve a God that makes the impossible possible.
Come on now.
We serve a God that says, if you just trust.
Yeah.
And so for me, once I realized that, wait a minute, from the very beginning, it was not you, but it was him. He was carrying you. And on the other side, Shaniqua, let me just say, when I tell you better than I could have asked or imagined, I can walk out dream differently, real time, because I have learned to dream differently over and over again. And it has been better than I could have asked or imagined.
I love it. And listen, girl, I can testify right on there with you. Now, look, we're not sitting here telling everybody to pack up and leave their marriages. That's not what we're saying.
No, we are not.
But I can attest, I can stand here with you, and I can attest that life has been better. It has been better since I made that rough decision, that tough decision to walk away from my marriage. Now, we didn't have 22 years in the game, but it was still a tough decision to make. And I just have to say, to comfort those women who, and this was leading into my next question, who lived years of their lives in someone else's dream.
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Sometimes we take on someone else's dreams,
Yes,
right?
we do.
What's the movie with Angela Bassett setting the fire?
Waiting to exhale.
Waiting to exhale. Yes, she's setting the fire because she's like, I helped him build all of this. Right.
Absolutely.
So you live your life so close to someone that you literally make their dream your dream.
Absolutely.
And then now you're stuck with a place. You're stuck at a place to say, well, what is my dream? If he walked out with the dream or she walked out with the dream, what's my dream?
Absolutely. So and for me, my children's father was a military man. So I had traveled the world.
Yeah.
I had lived overseas. I lived in countries like England. I lived in Turkey. I lived in the Netherlands. My children were all born overseas. Wow. So I was that person that was supporting the dream, if you will, traveling and being the wind beneath his wings, so to speak. And when you come to the conclusion that it is okay to choose you after you've chosen someone else for so long, once you say, you know what, I matter.
Yeah,
I matter. And I need to make sure that I choose myself. But let me tell you, Shaniqua, what was one of the most I'll say this was probably the deciding factor for me, or one of them. I have daughters. And you can tell your daughters how they should be. You can tell your daughters what to look for. You can tell your daughters how life can be. And you can tell your daughters what you look for in a mate and all of the things. And be sure that he treats you like a queen. Because you're my princess and I only want the best for you. But then what you also have to remember is your daughters are watching. Your daughters are watching. And when you say you need to make sure that he's treating you like the princess or the queen that you are. And you have to make sure that they can see, because daughters mimic what they see.
Surely. Yeah.
And I want to make sure that, I was encouraging them by living out what I was telling them. And so, and I'm so glad that you said that to the women. No, we're not advocating for you to do anything other than choose you. Choose you so that you can have the joy that you deserve, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
Because you can choose you in a marriage and make sure that you have the joy. And then you can choose you and have to make a decision on whether or not you stay. And that's not necessarily just marriage. It's a relationship, period.
That's true.
Because there are women in relationships where they have to make a decision. So we all want to keep ourselves in mind, educate you about yourself, advocate for what's best for you so that you can create your best life, whatever that looks like for you.
Are you a new or aspiring entrepreneur? Then it's time to unlock the hidden treasures of entrepreneurship. Get your business readiness assessment today. I love it. And what I'm getting is, just because you choose you doesn't mean you don't choose us.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you can still show up and be that super supportive, super loving wife and mother, but you still get to choose you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I'm not picking, me over you. I'm just saying that we just realigning the priority. We just shifting things around. We're going to do things differently from here on out.
Absolutely. And if we're being real, when we choose ourselves, we are the very best we can be for that mate or that spouse.
Absolutely.
It's when we are not choosing ourselves that we lose ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't have the joy. We don't have the peace. I can't be my best self for you and with you if I'm not my best self for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Ronalda, what would you say to someone that says, well, you know what, that's good for them younger girls, right? You know, all of them younger girls out there, that's they living their best lives, and that's good for them. But you know, I'm seasoned. I've lived. I've done things. You know, I don't think it's in the cards for me, because I'm already halfway through. So they would say I'm already halfway through, you know, my living. Why would, you know, is it even possible? I don't even know if it's possible for me to start again. What would you say to that?
Thank you, Shaniqua, for even asking that question, because I have two responses to that. First of all, when I walked away and chose myself, I wasn't angry and I wasn't bitter. I love, and love is great when it's great.
Yeah.
I walked away from my marriage in my 40s.
Okay.
And my children were teenagers. And I said to myself, just because this was hard and this didn't end the way that I wanted it to, because I thought it was going to be forever,
yeah,
I'm not going to lose hope and I'm not going to give up. And I think for that woman out there that may be questioning whether or not she is, whether or not she should even be open, this is what I would say to her. And I go right back to educating you about you.
Yeah.
Because when you know you and when you know what you want, you will bring and attract what it is that you want to you. But you've got to know that. You've got to take the time to get to know who you are. Because once you love on you, once you love who you are, you attract love to you. I am in an amazing relationship. I am happy. I have learned to embrace what it means to love me, to advocate for me and what I need, and to also make sure that I am never putting anybody else before myself. And I think that is the key, because a lot of times, especially me, I come from a generation where women cater to men and put themselves second.
Yeah.
And I remember whenever I was, you know, experiencing my relationship challenges, and the advice that I received wasn't always the best for me. And I had to make a decision, and I had to say, you know what, this is what's best for me. Yeah. Generations before me did what they thought was best for them. And in some choices felt they didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I had to realize and come to terms with, no, that's not my story. I do have a choice.
Yeah.
And choosing me was the best decision. And when I embraced what that meant, and I believe that we serve a God who wants us to have peace.
Oh, yes.
We serve a God that wants us to be loved and appreciated, because our God loves us.
Yes.
And he makes sure that if we seek him, we can have that peace.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think for me, what I would say to her is, first, be sure to educate you, know who you are, because then you'll know what you want.
Yeah.
And when you know what you want, and when you know who you are, you attract that great thing.
Yes. Woo! Listen, that was inspiring for me. Like I said, y'all don't have to take it if you want to, but I'm taking all of that. That was good. That was good to me, because, you know, I feel like I'm doing a darn thing. I'm you know, soaring, and I'm conquering, and I'm climbing those mountains, and you know, stomping out those demons underneath me. I feel like I'm doing it all. But I think even women who do so much, we wear multiple hats over here, and I feel as though we still need that inspiration.
Absolutely.
We still need to hear that. And I believe that's why that educate yourself about you resonated so much with me, because I've changed. I'm not the same individual that I was when I was in my marriage. You know, I'm a different person. And if I don't know who I am,
absolutely,
how can I go on into the next positive and healthy and loving relationship? Because what you will tend to do is to look for what you had.
Absolutely. That's
right?
absolutely the truth. And see, what I say to women when I talk to them is dream differently introduced me to me. I didn't know the woman that I see right now could ever exist. I had no idea that I was going to meet her.
Wow.
And now that I have met her, because she chose to dream differently, I ask myself girl, I'm so glad that I finally met you. Where have you been?
Yes, yes.
And so I embrace all of the things that have come along with being in this Dream Differently season, which is the reason why I say all the time, I want to empower and inspire other women. Because if you quit, if you stop dreaming, you give up. And if you give up, you're not able to see what's on the other side. And what we don't do is we don't surrender and embrace God's dream for us.
Yeah.
I know God did not want me unhappy. I know God wanted me to have peace and love in my life. And when I embraced his dream for my life, that's when it became better than I could have asked or imagined.
I love
it. So women, surrender to God's dream and embrace it so that you can have your very best life. Educate yourself about yourself, because that's how you get to the dream differently moments that are endless.
I love it. And that's one of the things that I've cried out to God on numerous occasions. I'm like, you know what? I'm no good. I'm not good at this. Like, you better at this than I am. Show me what your dream is for me.
Yes.
Show me where you want me. Like, give me your desires. I want to desire the things that you desire, Lord. Like, create me to say those things. Like, I want to be so in alignment with God that I want to allow him to dream for me. Like, show me, give me, and he does. Baby, you got to be careful when you talk to God, when you ask him for things, because he will show you.
Yes, he will. Yes,
and the
he
funny
will.
thing about it is that he shows me in dreams.
Yes. Oh, look at that.
He literally shows me in dreams.
Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing. And see, the thing about it is, for us, when I think what happens with us is when the dream, or when we think the dream that we had for ourselves looks a certain way and brings about grief, or it brings about depression, or it brings about sadness, getting to the dream requires us to walk through those journeys. Getting to the dream is not going to be perfect.
Wow.
Getting to the dream does include grief. It does include some sadness. But it also includes some joy, and it also includes some peace. And that's the thing. We have to be open to the dream, his big dream for us, whatever the encounter, whatever we have to experience. We have to be open, because if we're not open, we might never get to that dream. And that's the thing I want to tell people over and over again. Embrace everything that comes along with the dream so that you get there.
I love it. Now, what came to my mind and to my spirit was we need some action. We need some marching orders. We need something for people to ignite, to activate, to take away, to do it right now. Because I think it seems good when you hear this, you get all warm and fuzzy feeling, and then you just you just sit in it, and then you sit in it, and then you sit in it, and that's as far as it goes. So we need some action. So we want to give a charge to people to say, sister, brother, even if brothers is listening, listen, whoever's listening, these are the action steps that I want you to implement right away. And actually, you targeted on one when you were speaking, and you said, introduce yourself to you.
Absolutely.
And I think that is a beautiful starting point to say, after this broadcast is over, yes, you're going to follow Ronalda. You're going to, you know, follow her on her social media pages. You're going to check out her website, all of that good stuff. But I want you to put some action that's going to now benefit you. So I challenge everybody to start writing an introduction or even audio recording. You don't even have to write it down. Audio record yourself, introducing yourself to you. And please don't get caught up in, oh, I got a master's degree in this. Oh, I am, you know, mother. I am. That's all great and cute and everything, but we want to know who you really are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I said before, and there are a couple of things that I want to leave with them to as actionable steps. The first one you touched on already. When you say that they need to educate themselves, when I talk about E for educate you about you, sometimes it's difficult to actually sit with ourselves and really think about who we really are and what we really want. Because when we have to fully embrace who we really are, if we're being honest with ourselves, we're not perfect people.
No.
And so in educating yourself about you, embrace all that means, all of the things. Sit with yourself for a moment, educate you about you, flaws and all.
Yes.
This is who I am.
Yes.
This is who I want to be. This is what I embrace about myself. And this is what I want to change. Because once you start to sit with yourself, think about who you are, and like I said, education is not about the degrees.
Yeah.
It's not about the certifications. Because if you don't know yourself, none of that matters.
Yeah, it sure doesn't.
Educate you about you. Behind me, I have a 30-day journal. It's called Reimagine, Transform Your Tomorrow. It's 30 days of you sitting with yourself. You talk through the journal. When you're writing through the journal, you talk about yourself. Yeah. And then you read the scripture about what God says about that. And then you write what you say about it. When you say, one of the days I think we talk about when God says no.
Ooh.
And when you sit and think about, there have been some, I'm sure there are some things that I know there are for me that you and others have asked God for, and he said no. And we've had to sit with that no and embrace it and accept it. Yeah. It was painful.
Yeah.
But he said no. And in my journal, I encourage you to write all of that feeling when God says no. And then I encourage you to read the scripture about some of the things in the Bible that people asked for and God said no. And then I challenge people to, once you sit with that for 30 days, once you educate you about you, take the 30-day adventure into your life, past and present, how you're feeling about yesterday and how you want to feel about tomorrow. Because once you think and you sit with that for a moment, that is the only way that you're going to be able to even create that dream for yourself. Yeah. Know yourself and explore your past and explore your present so that you can create that better future. And all of the dreams that I think that people are thinking may never come true, or it may be impossible. I encourage you to reimagine your reality so that you can transform your tomorrow.
Man, listen, that link to that journal is in the description box. Do yourself a favor. We getting ready to get into New Year, New Me season. You know what that means, y'all. We getting ready to get into that New Year, Me season.
Absolutely.
So what better way than to get yourself really, honestly, and truly in a better position to be a new you?
Absolutely.
And it starts with your mind. So make certain that you grab your copy of that journal. We're going to have the link. You just got to go into the description box. And if you're on my mailing list, I'm going to send it out to you because I just want to make sure you got it. I don't even want to play those games that you thought you wrote it down, but you didn't. You thought you looked it up, but it's going to be right there, and it's going to come looking for you if you don't go look for it.
Absolutely.
I am so, Ronalda, that was such a blessing.
Thank you. It's been a blessing to be here with you, Shaniqua.
A blessing. That was such a blessing. And I thank you for sharing those words of encouragement with us all. Now, before we let you go, Ronalda, what are you working on as we get ready to conclude this year, this season in our lives? Like, what is it that you are working on?
What I'm working on, well, let me back up. A couple of times this year, I took a couple of trips to Cambodia. I went to Cambodia in February, and I went to Cambodia again in July. And when I tell you amazing, on my social media, you see some of the pictures and some of the things, but a couple of the pictures, I'm holding up my journal. And as a matter of fact, I'm squeezing my journal because what I did is I had the journal translated into Khmer.
Oh, wow.
For the women in Cambodia. Wow. And so what is on the horizon for me, I have a couple of trips coming up where I'm going to go back to Cambodia. Wow. I've been invited to speak stateside on Dream Differently. And I'm just embracing every opportunity to speak into women, to let them know that they can dream differently. I want to empower and inspire as many women as I can, because I don't want anyone to ever forget the ability to dream, but I also want them to embrace what it means to dream differently. So yes, I am on, you can catch me at Ronalda Sullivan on all social media. Follow my journey. And then I encourage you to dream differently. I encourage you to embrace and surrender what that means, because your life really can be better than you could have asked and imagined.
I love it. Listen, you guys, that was so super, super powerful. Ronalda, hang out for just a second. Let me get the people their marching orders. Was that not a blessing, you all? My goodness, I am feeling it all over me. That was such an amazing and power-filled message. And I hope that you will take action. This season, we are kicking here in season 3 of the Black Girl Encourage Her. And I want this season to be different for all of us. So let's take that leap of faith and let's start dreaming differently. So until next time, you all, be blessed.